Hello, and welcome to Body Language by EmbodyYou. I'm Annette and I'm so glad you're here. This show is where we take a step back from the shoulds and the should nots of social media and really learn what your body is saying and how to speak its language. We're going to dive into topics like gut health, birth control, cycle health, and give you real world, honest examples of what these actually might mean to you. My goal is to create a space that you can come back to whenever you need a reset or just don't know how to go forward. New episodes will be released weekly, and I cannot wait to take you along with this journey. Let's get started. Today's episode's for you if you ever struggle with self-sabotaging, not knowing that you're actually the thing standing in your own way. You feel like you want something super bad, but you're just never able to really have it. Today, I'm going to give you tangible steps on how to A, identify if you're even struggling with this mindset, and B, how to get out of it if it is something that you realize you are doing to yourself. Let's get started. Self-sabotage. Let's just talk about it. What is it? What does it mean? Self-sabotage is really that idea that you stand in your own way of being great or being consistent or having something really good because maybe you believe deep down you don't deserve it, or maybe you've had trouble with it in the past, right? Or you haven't stayed consistent, or you haven't been in a healthy relationship. And so we think because we've never had it means we can never have it, right? And that's just not the case. And that's why realizing that our subconscious mind is actually what keeps us stuck in a lot of different reasons. And being in the online fitness coaching world is tough with self-sabotage, especially because for so many years of my life, this was something that drove me crazy and I didn't recognize what it was. I guess I would start kind of waiting and for the perfect time. It would be like, I can't start this until it's the first of the month lands on a Monday and it's perfect. There's so many different things that I need to be perfect before I can do something. Or let's say something was going really good. I was like, okay, I have to mess this up or else it's going to go really bad, right? Or I have to mess this up before it could hurt me, before, it could go bad. I need to be the reason that it goes bad. And I think some way that I really found out that I was doing this was with how I was talking to myself. I would be the first one to make a comment about my appearance. Oh my God, I look so fat, or, oh, I'm so ugly, or my hair looks horrible. And I realized I was doing it so that no one else could do it before I did, because then it wouldn't hurt as bad, right? If I said it first, or if I realized it or made them aware that I was aware, right? But in reality, we're just making a problem that does not need to be a problem, right? What if you just ask yourself, well, what if no one ever said that? What if that doesn't ever happen, right? And so falling out of this self-sabotaging world and feeling like you don't need to prove yourself, validate, make fun of yourself or be your own bully, you start to realize, oh my goodness, I could actually just not say anything, or I could be confident, or I could, save myself so much hurt if I stop doing this to myself. And so realizing it, that's what I really started to realize it was when I was doing that. And also in relationships, whether it was romantic or friendships, I was self-sabotaging for, years in high school and beginning of college. It was I had something good. I found good friends and I was no, something their hat's going to drop, right? There has to be something that I'm missing. Something's going to happen. Let me just sabotage it so that it doesn't hurt me. And it's not in the way where you're I'm going to destroy everything and ruin this friendship, right? Or leave the relationship. It's just subtle things that you don't even realize you're doing to talk yourself out of opportunities or something that could be great. Like I said, your subconscious mind is a really big driver and it's powerful. And when you start telling yourself things, they become true. So if you're someone who tells yourself, I'll never be healthy, I'll never get fit, I'll never have a positive relationship, you will not have it, right? You will not have something if your subconscious does not believe you are able to obtain it. And so when we rewire that and we reteach ourselves, okay, no, I actually don't need to tell myself I can't have this or I'm never going to have it. I actually can. And we tend to give up right before that breakthrough happens, where we talk ourselves out of it. We stand in our own way. We don't commit. We say, the worst things are going to happen. And in reality, that's when the breakthrough comes. All of our girls in our program, they all go through a period where they're like, Annette, I'm not motivated, or I'm not feeling like I want to be super consistent right now. You're human. You're not supposed to be motivated 100% of the time, right? You're not supposed to be always committed and always 100%, right? That's normal. But what isn't normal and what we have made normal is then just giving up altogether when we feel a little bit of friction, right? And we feel a little bit of resistance, we give up. And that uncomfortability is actually right when the breakthrough is about to happen. When you push past it, I literally had a call with one of our girls on Friday last week, and we talked about this because she was like, well, this is usually the time where I'd give up. And I'm like, okay, what if we didn't give up this time? What if, Sam, before you just say, okay, this is usually when I'm done, I'm just going to give up. You say, well, I'm usually quitting now. I don't have what I want. What happens if I don't quit now? Am I maybe going to get that? You probably will. And what's the worst thing that can happen? You try a little bit harder for a little bit longer and you still don't get it. Either way, you know you didn't have it, right? You don't have it, but you know you tried. Whereas if we give up right away, if you just keep yo-yoing back and forth and going on and off, you just keep second guessing and you're like, nothing's ever going to work. And you're just feeding that subconscious more evidence of why you're not going to be successful. There's definitely a difference between uncomfortability and chaos, because I think we like to feel safe in a way of, like I said, not putting ourselves in positions that maybe have failed us in the past, or we hold on to evidence that this isn't going to work because it hasn't worked in the past, things like that. But we also feel like chaos feels safe to us when we're in this period of self-sabotage, or we are dealing with these, emotions or actions that we keep repeating over and over again. We're like, oh my gosh, I need chaos. And it's actually really funny because something that I was kind of working through just like in the last couple months of my life, and honestly a couple of years of my life, is determining what is a healthy relationship when it comes to like a boyfriend, like being romantic with someone. And I think for so many years of my life, I spent time in relationships that felt so chaotic. It just felt like, oh my gosh, this feeling, this like sick feeling in my stomach, that must be love. The way my heart like is hurting. It's just because I love them so much. Like I'm so worried about everything, but it's literally just because I love them so much. And then I get slapped in the face with it. And it's like, no, Annette, that's completely not love. Love should actually be something that allows you to take a deep breath and be calm and be still, right? Not feel chaotic. And we're so used to that chaos, and we mistake that for thinking that that's normal. And that's just like that overwhelming feeling of love. And it's not, it's anxiety, right? It's not feeling safe in that relationship, in that environment. We mistake that as love. And honestly, a lot of girls that I talk to that are interested in signing up for EmbodyYou, they're like, Annette, I make excuses. Like I always stand in my own way. I always talk myself out of it, right? And then by the end of it, they're like, oh, I'm actually gonna wait, or oh, I'm actually, got to do this or look into that. And I'm like, did you not just tell me you always stand in your own way, right? And you always find a way to make excuses. You have to be able to identify that. Like I can't reach through the phone and be like, hey, like stop standing in your own way and physically stop you. You have to genuinely be like, wow, the version of myself that's coming to save me is the person that's fed up, right? No one else is coming to save you. None of us can do it for you. You have to decide enough is enough. I'm actually going to commit to something. I'm going to do the thing that I said I was going to do this time, and not just like let myself keep slipping. Because when you keep not doing it, you're literally knocking down your confidence each time you don't hold your word to yourself. Each time you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you just prove to yourself that you're okay not being committed to something, not giving something your 100%, right? If you keep allowing yourself to skip the gym, or, just go get food quick and instead of making the time to meal prep, you are going to keep telling yourself that you're okay with that. And your subconscious is going to keep proving it to you. Well, you skipped it before, so you can do it again, right? You've skipped meal prepping in the past. Let's just go get Chipotle, right? And just keep pushing and pushing and pushing it off until you're at a spot where you're so fed up and you're so frustrated that you really have to decide, am I going to keep doing this? Am I going to keep sabotaging myself in my own journey? I've seen this a lot too with wellness, with if you have, like, let's say you go out to dinner one night when you're, working on your wellness, right? We think we have to be so perfect. We have one dinner that like derails our whole week. We binge. We're like, okay, then I'm going to have 10 cookies when I get home, ice cream, everything. And we sabotage too, right? We're like, because I went a little bit off track, I'm going to just do it tenfold, 100 miles an hour, and do it all the way. Might as well. Instead of allowing yourself to like have the cookie on Tuesday night because you want it. Instead of being like, I have to wait. And then when you do give yourself it, it's like binge, you can't stop, and you sabotage. And then afterwards you feel guilty and you're like, now I'm starting back over from square one. So if you're like, okay, yeah, this is me, I definitely do these things, this is how to stop it, right? This is how to get in front of it and be like, okay, no, I'm going to stop these patterns going forward. Because again, you are the only one that's going to be able to do that. So if you feel like you find yourself doing this and you're like, okay, Annette, how do I stop? These are the steps to go through to get yourself off of that sabotage pattern. First thing I want you to ask right now is like, what are the patterns that I see before I derail or before I sabotage, right? Maybe you feel super anxious, or something's like super top of mind, or maybe it's right around when you start talking to someone new, or you meet a new friend, or when something's going really well. You have to identify the triggers that will usually start these patterns of sabotaging. And when you can name the fear, like if it's rejection, if it's success, like if it's when you find out something really great, or is it when you find out something really bad? Is it fear? Is it the unknown? Like, what is that fear for you? Figuring that out, being able to name it will then help you identify it the next time you feel that emotion of like, okay, usually when this happens, I tend to make these choices or make these mistakes. I'm actually going to actively not choose that and choose something else this time. The next thing is you want to really focus on progress over perfection. So we say it all the time. It's literally your mental is just like anything else. You have to take reps, right? It's practice. You don't just wake up one morning and you're like, I love myself, right? Self-love, that journey, it takes a long time and it takes repeated effort and repeated practice. And suddenly it gets easier and easier and easier. Slowly you get better, right? Same thing here. If you think, oh my gosh, I need to be perfect, right? It's just going to change overnight. It's not true. But if you can be like, oh my gosh, usually I would do this and I made one small difference, or maybe I even noticed it this time, that's progress, right? That's moving in the right direction. So being able to call out those little things and name them and be like, wow, look, I'm getting better. That's a win. So don't focus on trying to be perfect or change it overnight. Focus on the small wins that will add up over time. An easy way to do this is to keep like a proof list. We do this with all of our clients. We have them create an evidence portfolio where every time if they're struggling to really speak to that higher self or do stuff that, that higher version of them would do, we have them write down every time they do it. So let's say they went to the gym when they didn't want to, or they pre-tracked their macros, or, they didn't fall into a self-sabotaging behavior, or they took a breath before they responded to that text. Whatever it is, we have them write it down, because then the next time it comes up or the next time they're questioning themselves, we literally say, well, go read your evidence portfolio and look at all the times you've done it. Because when you do it once, you can do it again. Your body literally knows it has proof. You can't tell yourself you can't do it if you've done it already, right? Your body will literally be like, no, we've already done it. We can do it again. And so you act differently, you make different choices, and you start to get different results. And the biggest thing is just to start. Like, you don't need to wait until Monday, until the 1st, until anything specific. You literally can start tomorrow. You could literally start right now. Like, can you identify it right this second? And taking action reduces anxiety more than thinking does. When you think, you just keep getting more and more anxious. You get more and more overwhelmed. You're overthinking, right? Taking action will actually reduce the anxiety, right? It'll actually calm you. It'll help you be like, I'm actually on the right track, right? I'm making moves to solve whatever I'm working through right now. And when you start doing that, you start reducing your anxiety and you stop acting so much out of emotion and out of that self-sabotage fear mindset. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have like a clouded vision or view of what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I want. You know exactly what that is because you are so level-headed, you're clear-minded, you're not falling into acting out of anxiety. And I want to make it very, very clear that self-sabotage does not mean you're broken. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, or you're not fixable, or you're going to ruin everything. You're never going to have a healthy relationship. It's literally not. All it is past experiences that have worked for you in the past, or it's just a protective strategy from a past version of you. So something that might have worked, that's obviously no longer serving you because it doesn't feel good, right? That is not working anymore. It's outdated, right? So we need to identify it, thank it for its time, and then update it and move on and be like, I actually don't need to keep being this person. I don't need to keep carrying this weight. I don't need to keep telling myself that this is going to happen with every relationship, every time I try to start over on my journey, every time I, get the raise at my job or someone rejects me. I'm not going to fall into the self-sabotaging of this is why I'm so wrong. This is why I suck. This is why I'm the problem, right? You don't need to fall into that anymore. You can actually just drop all of it and be like, that maybe served me or was my tactic in the past, but it's not going to be going forward. And you can literally set that boundary with yourself and give yourself that non-negotiable of like, hey, we're not doing this anymore. And again, it's going to take time. And something we really preach on in our program is that you can't always control your first thought, but you can always control your second thought. So your first thought, you might be saying something bad about yourself, but your second thought can be like, all right, never mind. Take it back. You're actually so beautiful, strong, capable, whatever. And so we're very prejudiced, right? We judge things and we have opinions and we like to think about things, and people walk by us. We want to judge their outfit, what they look like, how they're talking. And we have to challenge it, because if you're just complacent with it and you're just ignorant to it, you just become that person, right? You become someone that's judgmental, that's unhappy, that's letting everything around them happen to them, right? Everything's attacking me. All of this stuff is going wrong, versus like everything around me is happening for me and I can actually control a lot of it, right? I can control how I go about certain things, or how I react to certain things, or who I let in my life and who I don't, right? You have so much more control than you think. And we have to rewrite that narrative of not being so judgmental to ourselves, to other people, to being like, maybe I can't control that first thought, but I can control the second. Maybe my first thought is to go self-sabotage mode, and I'm going to be like, wait, take a deep breath. Let's not do that. Maybe this opinion that they have of me is literally just a projection of how they feel about themselves. That is all someone else's opinion of you is, right? If it is obviously not warranted or like unvalid, if someone doesn't like you or judges the way you post your video or what you wear, it's literally just a projection of how they feel about themselves. There's never going to be someone that's doing more than you that's going to say something about what you're doing, right? It's only the people that aren't doing as much, that want what you have, but they don't want to admit it. They want to be consistent like you are, but she's so obsessed with the gym. Oh my gosh, she tracks her food like that's such an eating disorder. They want your consistency. They want your dedication and your motivation. They don't have it. So that's how they cope, is by talking poorly that you do. At the end of the day, just remember that growth feels uncomfortable, not because it's bad, but because it's new, right? It's good to be outside of your comfort zone. It's good to challenge yourself and to stop standing in your own way. And if you can take like 5 minutes and just recognize that right now, I promise you'll be so much happier in the end. Today's episode was super short and sweet. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. Send it to someone you love. And as always, from the teacher in me to the teacher in all of you, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'll see you next week.